Andrew, after we spoke after the game on Sunday, you said you'd review the vision and take away some key learnings. Could you share with us what you've taken away from that game?
Yeah, so we had a great team review the other day. There's some things in that game that we got wrong. Scoreboard told us that, but we probably won't go into the detail of what they were, but it was a great review. We're confident we'll put some things in our game, particularly around the contest. They were the biggest themes that came out of the game. Our contest work was down, but there's a bit more to it, which I sort of won't delve into the detail of it. But and then our work rate wasn't at the level we needed it to. So some things in our control that we'll rectify this week.
How confident are you can rectify that on a 7-day turnaround with a travel to the Gabba against the reigning premiers?
So the things I just spoke about, the things that we've reviewed, we're confident we can fix straight away. Now, whether that means we win the game or win the contest, it doesn't, but it gives us much more of a chance, which is what we're going for.
On Monday night, you were confident Jake Waterman might be able to get up, and then 24 hours later, unfortunately, he's ruled out for at least a fortnight. What sort of changed in that period? Was it a scan? How did that sort of come about?
Yeah, and that's footy sometimes. So yeah, we subbed him out of the game on the weekend with all intentions for him to play the following week. Following scans have shown that the pain's coming from his back, not his calf. So we're just going to take some precautions and see how that settles, and that's footy.
In hindsight, shouldn't have played, or how do you look at it now?
It's not as simple as that. We had a scan last week on his calf, and that was clear. He did all preparation in terms of playing. Even in the game, it was my choice to sub him out. He was going okay. I just thought that where the game was at, it was take the risk out of it. So everything's easy in hindsight, but we're confident we had the right decision-making process last week.
Does that give Jack Williams a good opportunity this weekend?
Yeah, it does. It gives Jack an opportunity. It gives all of our key forwards an opportunity. So we'll go away, we'll train. Brisbane's backs offer a pretty unique challenge. Some of the best intercept marking players in the competition. So we'll pick the player we think's most suited to be able to deal with that and beat them.
When you look at the midfield battle last week, I think we spoke about possibly tagging Rao, and you lost that contest at the weekend. Lockie Neal got tagged out of the game against Sydney, and they still won, obviously, but he only had 10 touches. I think it was a near career low. Do you look at maybe implementing a similar strategy, considering how well it worked?
I've been coaching against Lockie Neal for almost 10 years, and I think I've been involved in teams that have tried to tag him maybe 7 or 8 times, and as you said, it's the first time it's really been successful on the weekend by James Jordan. He did a terrific job. We're aware of how good Lockie Neal is. We'll have plans in place for sure for him, but there's also some other pretty good midfielders in that team that, you go and tag one, something else often gets away from you. So we'll have a think about it. We'll discuss it as a match committee, and we'll have plans for both scenarios.
Are you slightly nervous though, considering he's coming off a poor game and coming into you guys, because he's a pretty good player for all things considered?
Yeah, look, I'm spending all my energy on our guys. To be honest, we've got a midfield group that was beaten last week, and there's some proud guys in that group. So I'm excited to see what they're going to put out this week.
Bo Allen, is he?
Who's that? Sorry,
Bo Allen, is he going to debut after missing last week with illness?
Yeah, so he played about 3/4 of waffle footy. He's in the mix. He's had a really strong pre-season. We'll get through training today and see where it lands. But there's a few guys that are going to be in contention this week, which is good.
How tough is that sitting there as a coach and talking about clearances and certainly being dominated through the midfield, watching that as your first game as coach? How do you kind of remain balanced heading into the rest of the year? You seem quite composed in the box.
Look, it was a bad game of football. But it was one game. I think it's easier to sort of flip everything upside down after we've trained it all summer. But we're not going to do that. We've got a plan. We've got something we're going after. Now, we've clearly haven't got it right in round one. Gold Coast played a terrific game of football, and the beauty is you learn and you get to move on. And as I sort of mentioned at the start, there's some things that we think we can do much better. And we're looking forward to training it and doing it this week.
Were there some positives there when you looked at the game, or is it more just a learning from?
Yeah. There is always some stuff that we can show from a positive, but unfortunately there wasn't as many as we'd like.
What did you make of the rock battle on the weekend? Obviously Jared Witts was excellent. Matt Flynn got the first call up after that sort of selection question all summer, but does Bailey Williams come into the equation this week, or did you back Matt in?
Yeah, so the ruck battle last week, like Jared Witts is probably the best ruckman in the competition in terms of a hit out and hit outs to advantage. I think he's world class. So he won that battle last week. That's cool. That's footy. Every week we'll have a competition with our rucks, I'm hoping. And that's a good thing for us to have. The answer won't be the same every week. It will be form dependent, it'll be opposition dependent, and it might be who can play a little bit forward as well. So we'll keep working our way through that.
What have you made of the criticism that's come Harley's way this week? Some people saying he was more interested in, punching blokes off the ball than going after the footy.
Yeah, I don't think Harley punched anyone off the ball, but honestly, if I'm being really honest, I don't read any of it. There's so many opinions that are going around at the moment that it's really important we understand what we value. Didn't have a great game. Part of a midfield that didn't have a great game. We'll get to work.
When you look at that midfield, you obviously didn't have a great game. Some of it's effort, I suppose, early on especially. How do you try and turn that around? Like, is there something you can say? Is it something you rely on your leaders to do to try and lift that effort, especially from the first bounce?
Yeah, it's a really tricky one, effort, because I think every footballer tries as hard as they can, but there was a bit of method within our effort last week, which is kind of what I'm talking about around the contest that we didn't get right. Now, I'm involved in that as well. So we've gone to work on that this week. But to say they didn't try, sometimes when you lose, you actually try harder and you get more out of whack. And that's kind of what happened to us last week.
When you say that, do you mean like that they were trying to implement the style that you guys have been practicing and then it wasn't going their way, so they sort of go away from that, trying to do something to stop the rot?
Yeah, a little bit of that, a little bit of just like everyone wants to impact every contest. And that's not possible. So sometimes that happens. And as I mentioned, we've been able to look at it and understand where it went wrong and how we can fix it.
Put a bit of a snapshot of Brisbane Lions. What have you made of them this year?
Yeah, so look, pretty similar. They're playing a really similar brand to what won them the grand final last year. I think the umpire being a bit hotter on the 15-metre kicks has challenged them a little bit, but as it has with us as well. So, but from a brand perspective, they're playing the same way for the most part.
Jack Hutchinson showed some nice signs in the contest. Must be disappointing to lose him, given you're trying to fix up that contested work. Yeah, he's a really good contested player, Jack. So it's unfortunate to lose him, but when injuries come, opportunities come. So that's part of it, and someone else will get a crack at it. And Ryan Marrick showed some nice signs coming on in the back line, a bit of class. Is that something? Could he look at getting a full game this week? Yeah, I thought he played really well in the last quarter. You always do look a bit fresher when you come on. People have smashed themselves for 3 quarters, but he really did what we asked of him, and he's improving as a footballer, which is great. Is Liam Ryan looking okay to make the trip? Yeah, he is. He was really close last week to playing. So we made a decision with a little bit of Liam's history in mind to not play him, but yeah, we're confident, and he'll have to get through training today, but he's in a good spot and can't wait to have him out there. Everyone's different when it comes to travelling or for away games. Are you, without probably wanting to give us too much insight, is there anything you're going to do different to try and galvanise the group or just make away trips a bit more fun? I don't know, like something like that? My experience is away trips are always fun. I love that we've got an opportunity to travel as a team after last week's performance. I think it's really important. We get to spend a couple of days together. It won't be anything out of the ordinary of how teams travel. That's what we do. We'll train at the Gabba, which is great, and then we'll prepare to play and can't wait. Campbell Chess is listed as TBC at the moment with that ankle. How's he holding up, and have you got a rough idea of when you might be able to at least see him play some waffle? Yeah, so we don't at the moment. It's still a bit of a work in progress of when he comes back, but really positive guy, Chess. He's been through a lot, as you guys know, but he's showing up to work with a smile on his face every day and just wants to play footy. What do you make of Archer Reed's debut? Yeah, I thought Archer competed quite well. Yeah, he did. Played forward for a large period of the game. Didn't get a whole heap of opportunity as a forward, unfortunately, but we sort of put him into the ruck a bit more in the second half, and ruck's a hard position, so for a 19-year-old kid, I thought he really held his own.